So the Parashat we're learning this week, Parashat Vayechi, we want to try, and through two pieces in the Sefat Emet, to try and understand a little bit more the first pasuk in our Parashat. So we open up in the Parashat and we say, Vayechi Ya'akov Be'eretz Mitzrayim. And when we see this pasuk, the question we ask ourselves is, what is the pasuk coming to emphasize? Vayechi Ya'akov Be'eretz Mitzrayim. What we want to know that he was in Mitzrayim. So tell us that he was there. Say Vayehi Be'eretz Mitzrayim. But for some reason the Parsha wants to emphasize Vayechi. Vayechi Ya'akov Be'eretz Mitzrayim. We know that Yaakov started in Eretz Yisrael. We know he went through so many different things. And the Parsha is coming to say that now in this time of his life, he's living in Mitzrayim. So the Sefat Emet says, in the year 1871, Adoni Avis Keni Mori V'Rabi Zecher Tzadik Livracha Hegid Vayechi Yaakov Be'eretz Mitzrayim. So the Sefat Emet's grandfather is speaking about what does it mean Vayechi Yaakov Be'eretz Mitzrayim. Ki al-yedei b'chinat emet יכולין לחיות גם בארץ מצרים. They're saying that specifically Yaakov Avinu, who was the midah of Emet, was teaching us the ability that even in Eretz Mitzrayim we could stay alive. And so obviously, what is the Sefat Emet grandfather coming to say to us? He's saying we all know and we all understand that Am Yisrael for the next 210 years are leaving the land of Israel. What do you give them? What do you say to them? Do you cry for them? Do you say to them it will be okay? The first 4 words of this parsha say Vayechi Yaakov, even in Eretz Mitzrayim. So the Sefat Emet continues and he explains, Dihine lo havale limimar rak Vayehi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim. We want to say that Yaakov was in Eretz Mitzrayim. We want to say Yaakov Avinu was there, so you could do it also. So say Vayehi Yaakov. If the emphasis is Yaakov, then just say that Yaakov was in Mitzrayim, and we'll know if he was there, then we could be there. Umashma da'ikar harvutã ma shaya bebchinat chayim gam be'eretz Mitzrayim. He's saying that we would think the emphasis is that Yaakov was able to be in Mitzrayim. But the emphasis isn't only that Yaakov was in Mitzrayim. The emphasis is that it's that we're capable to live even in Mitzrayim. So what is Mitzrayim? Mitzrayim is the challenge. Mitzrayim is a challenge that every single one of us have in our lives. From the moment we wake up to the second we go to sleep, we all have challenges. And Yaakov comes to say that the challenge is something that is defining life. The definition of life is the ability to understand how do we contemplate challenges in life. One way to see a challenge is to say, why is God challenging me? So that I'll run away. Why do I go to Mitzrayim? Just to leave. The challenge is there just to overcome it, to leave, to get to the next step. But he's saying, Vayechi Yaakov Be'eretz Mitzrayim, he's saying, confront the challenge. Enter the challenge. Don't run away from the challenge. Vayechi, you have to understand that life is specifically in those places that we see the biggest challenges in life. And so that's one piece from this Sefat Emet. But I think it connects to another idea. That on the first pasuk, Rashi says a very interesting idea. It says, Vayechi Yaakov. Lama parasha zu stuma. In the entire 52 parshiot, all over Torah, every parsha ends with parasha ptucha. You want to separate. Miketz is Miketz, Vayigash is Higash, Breshit is Breshit, Noach is Noach. When we get to Parashat Vayechi, Parashat Stuma. What does Parashat Stuma mean? Parashat Stuma means there's no separation. If you look in the Sefer Torah, Parashat Vayigash, Parashat Vayechi, you won't know that Parashat Vayechi started. Satum. So we think that's just no specific reason. Rashi says so deep. He says, "Lefi shekivan sheniftar Yaakov Avinu nistemu einehem v'libam shel Yisrael." What does it mean that the parsha was satum? The parsha was satum because when Yaakov Avinu passes away, that is the beginning of Galut Mitzrayim, which is a very deep thing to try and understand. Rashi is saying the Galut isn't specifically the fact that the Egyptians killed us. The Galut isn't the fact that they took away our freedom. The Galut is the separation of the 12 Shvatim from Yaakov Avinu. Because Yaakov Avinu is the end of an era. The era of the Avot. The Avot, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are a certain time in Jewish history. And the moment Yaakov passes away, we start a new era which starts in Mitzrayim. Abraham Avinu, the Avot, start in Eretz Yisrael. The beginning of the era of that beautiful beginning of Am Yisrael starts in Eretz Yisrael. But the beginning of the separation from Yaakov is specifically in Mitzrayim. So the Sefat Emet goes so deep, and he says like this. In the year 1880, the Sefat Emet says, Ha'avot hem hamochim v'roshan shel Yisrael. The Avot are the intellect. They're the brain. They're the mind, the head of Am Yisrael. So if the Avot are the head of Am Yisrael, then Am Yisrael are the goof. And so Sefat Emet in the deepest level says, what is Rashi saying? Nistemu einehem v'libam shel Yisrael. When Yaakov left, what stopped? The mind, the head. Roshan v'liban stopped. So then what starts now? The goof. But the Sefat Emet says, what was Mitzrayim all about? Mitzrayim haya chiyut haneshama b'meitzar. Mitzrayim isn't just a name. It means tsar, belittled. A lot of us have times that our mind works well. We have great ideas. We want to be here, we want to do this, we want to help our children in that, we want to give our wife this. We have all these different ideas. Mitzrayim prevents you from knowing there's more. What does it mean to be a slave? To be a slave means I'm stopping you from dreaming. I'm stopping you from combining your own little world. You don't have a world. You're a slave, you're born a slave, you'll die a slave. But the Sefat Emet says, V'hu atchalat he'arat hamochin b'guf. Incredible. He says, for Am Yisrael to start, it's not just enough to have the mind. We need to be able to bring it down to the guf. And so the Sefat Emet is saying like this. What is the moach? The moach is the guidance. The guf is what acts. The avot start this idea. They say, listen, we could do this, we could be here, we could do all these different things. We could build a land, we could bring God into the world. That's the moach. But the moach has the ability to tell your hands and your legs how to act in the world. What is Mitzrayim? What did we do there for 210 years? We used our goof. To make this maybe a little bit deeper, I want us to see something incredible. Yaakov Avinu has a last request. Yaakov Avinu's last request is Al na tikbereni b'Mitzrayim. He says, do not bury me in Mitzrayim, take me to the land of Israel. But our question to Yaakov Avinu is, you know that Am Yisrael for the next 210 years are going to be in slavery. Why are you going to the land of Israel? Stay here with them. Bury yourself in Mitzrayim. Show them that you did it so they could do it. You go up there and you go to Eretz Yisrael and you're happy with your household. But Yosef HaTzadik, what does he say? His last request is, leave my bones in Mitzrayim, and when you leave Egypt, take my bones with you. Yosef and Yaakov, the Avot and the Shvatim, are combining to tell us how to deal with difficulties or challenges in life. One is to have a brain, to have an intellect, to have a dream. That's why Yaakov goes back to Eretz Yisrael. He goes back to the land. He says, if they're going to be hurt, if they're going to be wounded, if they're going to be dying, they need something out, far away, to say, we can go somewhere else. Because if you don't have a faraway dream, like Viktor Frankl says in the Holocaust, in his book, Adam Chafetz Mashmot, Man Seeks for Meaning, he says, ability for someone to overcome the Holocaust was that he had something far away. If he didn't have something far away, then he was lost. That's what Yaakov is saying. But Yosef is saying, great, they have a dream, but what about the day-to-day? What about the goof itself? So he says, bury me here. Because he says, I understand that they also need help in the day-to-day. If you continue a little bit farther to the war against Amalek, we'll see that also there, Moshe Rabbeinu goes on top of the mountain. Just like Yaakov Avinu, he separates. He says, look, there's God. Look, there's a dream. But he sends down Yoshua, the descendant of Yosef, to be down there with Am Yisrael and fight the war. Again, the same understanding of someone who's the mochi, someone who's the rosh, someone who's the dream. But then there's a need to deal with reality. To connect these two Sefat Emet, what he's saying, I think, in one idea, is Vayechi Yaakov Be'eretz Mitzrayim, is saying Eretz Mitzrayim is every single challenge we have. But when we have a challenge, there are two ways that we need to deal with it. One way, like Rashi is saying, is the rosh. But the other way is saying that the Galut Mitzrayim was needed to prevent the mind and start the body. And if you have only intellect, if you have only dreams, but they don't come down to life, if you have an idea of shlom bayit, but you don't know how to clean the dishes, if you speak about loving Am Yisrael, but you can't care about someone who's your next door neighbor who's in pain, then the rosh doesn't mean anything. That's what Mitzrayim is saying. We're stopping the rosh to begin the goof. So we shall be zocheh b'ezrat Hashem to see our challenges and not be afraid to confront them, to enter into the challenges, to enter into Mitzrayim, and realize that in every challenge we can see that it's the beginning of a new creation, of a new starting of something that we can rebuild. And b'ezrat Hashem, it should connect us more to Yaakov Avinu, to the Shvatim, and back to Eretz Yisrael, because that's where Mitzrayim is going to lead us to at the end. Shabbat Shalom.